September 11th, 2001. It is more than a date. It is a scar on the timeline of modern history. We all know the story we were told. 19 terrorists, 4 hijacked planes, a nation brought to its knees, and a world changed forever. The official narrative is etched into our collective memory. But what if that narrative, as clear and definitive as it seems, is built on a foundation of unanswered questions? What if the physical evidence from that day defies the very laws of physics as we know them? Today, we are not here to simply remember the tragedy. We are here to investigate the enigma. We will journey into the labyrinth of 9/11s, examining the official account, the scientific anomalies, and the disturbing questions that, more than 2 decades later, refuse to be silenced. The morning began with a clear blue sky. At 8:46 a.m., that sky was pierced as American Airlines Flight 11 struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center. For 17 minutes, the world held its breath, grappling with the possibility of a horrific accident. Then, at 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 banked in the sky and sliced into the South Tower, live on television. In that moment, confusion turned to certainty. America was under attack. The chaos escalated. At 9:37 a.m., the Pentagon, the very symbol of American military might, was hit by American Airlines Flight 77. And at 10:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 93 crashed into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Its intended target likely the U.S. Capitol, thwarted by a heroic passenger revolt. The official story, laid out by the 9/11's Commission report, identified Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda as the perpetrators, launching the global war on terror. This is the history we've been taught. But for a persistent and growing movement of skeptics, this is where the real investigation begins. The collapse of the Twin Towers is the epicenter of the 9/11's controversy. The official explanation from the National Institute of Standards and Technology NIST states that the airplane impacts severed key support columns and the resulting jet fuel fires severely weakened the steel infrastructure, leading to a pancaking gravitational collapse. It's a narrative of structural failure under unprecedented stress. But for thousands of architects, engineers, and physicists in the Truth for 9/11's movement, this explanation is not just flawed. They claim it's impossible. Their primary argument is the speed and symmetry of the collapses. Both towers fell at near freefall speed, plummeting through the path of most resistance floors of concrete and a massive steel cuirass if it was there. They argue this is a hallmark of controlled demolition, where explosives are used to systematically remove lower floor supports. They question how jet fuel fires, which burn intensely but for a relatively short duration, could uniformly heat and weaken a vast, insulated steel structure to the point of simultaneous, total failure. Furthermore, they point to numerous eyewitness accounts from firefighters and first responders, who reported hearing what sounded like secondary explosions just before the towers came down. The theory of controlled demolition posits that incendiary materials like thermite were While NIST maintains there is no evidence of this, the debate rages on, fueled by what skeptics see as a fundamental violation of the laws of physics. But the most glaring anomaly for many researchers is the collapse of a third building, World Trade Center 7. This 47-story, steel-framed skyscraper was not hit by a plane. It suffered some damage from the debris of the North Tower and had fires on several floors. Yet, at 5:20 p.m., it collapsed. It didn't just fall. It imploded perfectly, symmetrically, into its own footprint in under 7 seconds. The official NIST report concluded that ordinary office fires caused a critical support column to fail, triggering a chain reaction that brought the entire building down. For skeptics, this is the smoking gun. Never before or since in history has a steel-framed high-rise collapsed due to fire alone. The sheer precision of its fall, they argue, is undeniable evidence of a pre-planned, engineered demolition. The controversy was famously inflamed when a BBC reporter announced the collapse of WTC-7 on live television more than 20 minutes before it actually happened, with the building still standing in the background. The BBC later called it a simple reporting error in the fog of war, but for truth seekers, it was a sign of foreknowledge. The attack on the Pentagon presents its own set of baffling questions. The official report states that the 125-ton Boeing 757, with a 124-foot wingspan, struck the building's facade. Yet, initial photographs show a relatively small impact hole with minimal external debris. Skeptics ask, where are the wings, the tail, the massive engines? How could such a large aircraft vanish almost entirely into the building, leaving a hole a fraction of its size? The official explanation is that the plane was traveling at such high velocity that it essentially disintegrated upon impact. But conspiracy theories propose alternative scenarios, from a missile strike to a smaller military drone, pointing to the lack of clear video footage and the highly complex flight maneuver required to hit that specific, newly renovated section of the Pentagon, maneuver some veteran pilots claim would be nearly impossible for an amateur. Even the heroic story of Flight 93 is not without its questions. While no one disputes the bravery of the passengers who fought back, some theories suggest the plane was shot down by the US Air Force. Proponents of this theory cite eyewitnesses who claimed to see a military jet in the vicinity, a debris field scattered over a wide area, and the admission by Vice President Dick Cheney that he had given the shoot-down order for unresponsive aircraft. The official timeline states the order was given, but the plane crashed due to the passenger revolt before any military jet could engage. The question for skeptics is not whether the passengers were heroes, but whether their heroism was used to cover up unnecessary but politically devastating military action. All these threads weave together into the most explosive and controversial theory of all, that 9/11 was an inside job. This theory suggests that powerful elements within the US government either orchestrated the attacks or knowingly allowed them to happen to justify wars in the Middle East, pass restrictive civil liberties, legislation like the Patriot Act, and vastly expand the military-industrial complex. Proponents point to a litany of suspicious circumstances, military exercises simulating the exact scenario of the attacks running on the same day, which they claim sowed confusion in the air defense response. The unprecedented failure of the world's most advanced air force to intercept a single hijacked plane for over an hour, and intelligence warnings from multiple countries about Al-Qaeda's plans that were allegedly ignored. It is vital to navigate this territory with critical thinking. The vast majority of mainstream experts maintain that the official narrative, while containing complexities, is fundamentally correct. They argue that a conspiracy of the scale required for an inside job would be impossible to keep secret. However, it is also a fact that the 9/11's commission was, by its own admission, underfunded and initially stonewalled in its access to key information, leaving many questions unanswered. The legacy of 9/11 is one of profound and uncomfortable ambiguity. On one side, an official story supported by extensive evidence, yet marked by physical anomalies that challenge easy explanation. On the other, conspiracy theories that offer answers to those anomalies, but often require a belief in a level of government malevolence that is itself staggering. Perhaps the complete truth lies somewhere in the murky middle cocktail of terrorist plotting, intelligence failures, government incompetence, and a catastrophic event that pushed our understanding of physics and engineering to its absolute limit. What is certain is that 9/11 was a catalyst. It reshaped our world, our politics, our privacy, and our very relationship with truth. And as long as the questions remain, the search for answers, whether through official channels or skeptical inquiry, will and must continue. What is your perspective on 9/11? Do you accept the official narrative, believe in one of the conspiracy theories, or find yourself somewhere in between? This is one of the most sensitive and debated topics of our time. Leave your respectful opinion in the comments. We want to understand all points of view. And if you believe it's crucial to keep questioning the major events that shape our world, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, because the search for truth, no matter how difficult, must never end. Until next time.